Well, that's the view from through my windshield. You can see downtown over there. There's a park to my left, and there's people. There's lots of bikers, runners, and people jogging, walking around with kids. Lots of dogs. And this is just east of commercial downtown. So I came out with my little Nikon Z6 or Z6 II, like awesome camera, you know, shoots such nice pictures, especially with this pancake 26mm lens. You know, people hardly look at you. But if I tried this trick with like D850 and, you know, 300mm lens, and you try to shoot like 100 meters away, yeah, you can get some shots, but somebody would probably call police, you know. Whereas with this one, you just turn your head away, boom, couple of pictures. But anyway, so what I wanted to show you guys, how great the city is, and there's so many parks, so many walkways, so many paths, you know, like really. I'm always super thankful, you know, for this kind of like my new home, right? So I've been here since October 22, and I'm super thankful to the authorities, you know, how much thought they've put into this, just creating these little oases, you know, for people where you can walk. It's not just all commercial, and that's what I like about Calgary versus Edmonton. You know, it's more like a cultural city, like Ottawa in Ontario. Less manufacturing, you know, less production, more arts, you know. So I love it. I love Calgary. And the downtown is super friendly, you know. Like, so basically today, so first I came out to it's funny how, you know, when you record it with your phone, nobody's paying attention, but as soon as you bring a camera to your head, everybody's looking, you know. And actually this street photography, I'm telling you, it requires it requires a lot of courage, because, you know, some people can get antagonistic, you know, hostile. But I love this. It's so relaxing, you know. If you can catch, you know, a funny scene or like a little story, you know, something happening. Like I remember I was walking on, I think it was Front Street in Toronto, and there was a couple holding hands walking in front of me, and all of a sudden there was a pigeon flying from the side, and the girl, like, total panic, you know, she threw her arms in the air, and I had no idea that would happen. I just wanted to take a picture from the back, kind of like, you know, this, I think it was spring, and so I wanted to take a picture from the back, you know, young people holding hands. And but then as I was shooting, and I was on like 5 shots a second or whatever, like high, you know, high velocity setup, and as I'm shooting, all of a sudden this pigeon flies in, and it was a, you know, nice picture, you know, kind of like capturing a moment. But of course that doesn't happen often. But today I only took a few shots. Like I saw, you know, a sad dog who did not know what to do with himself while his owner was texting on her phone. Then I saw 2 guys, like probably husband and wife, kind of like robots, standing next to each other, and they were staring at their phones. But then as I'm shooting, all of a sudden, then when I look at the pictures, the guy looks at me, you know. But I had eyeglasses, sunglasses, and I had the camera on my chest, and I turn my head away, and I'm just shooting. But of course they can see that you know, your finger is on the trigger, right? So And then actually I saw a colleague, you know, another free spirit. A guy was walking on the sidewalk here, and he's not looking at people. What he does is, and I know that he was taking pictures, you know, like a young kid, so he was also doing street photography. So he was holding a camera like this, but like this, you know, at his waist, as if he's looking at the, no wait, I think he was doing like this. Yeah, so basically with these cameras, what's awesome is that you can, you know, set the screen like this, and so people think that you're looking at the screen, where in fact you are, you know, you do not make any eye contact, right? Because that's how they see you, you know. If you don't make any eye contact with anybody, nobody will pay you attention most of the time. And so actually I use this trick myself. Like I would stand somewhere, let's say there's a couple of shops, you know, and there's a doorway. You know how sometimes a door is recessed, right? There's like buildings, like coffee shops, restaurants, whatever, and then there's a door to another, into, let's say, another restaurant, and it's recessed. So there's like a couple of meters, you know, 6 feet, where you can kind of like hide, and then you can stand there like this, you know, and you can kind of like looking at your screen, like as if you're checking your pictures, you know. And if somebody's interesting walking over there in front of you, usually they don't notice, you know, people sitting in, you know, standing in the doorway. But of course it can be a bit so that's why it's good to have a small camera, right? Because if you try to do this with a big camera, with a big lens, people would really think that you are, you know, a weirdo. But yeah, what I found today, so I got that lady with a dog, then husband and wife staring at their phones, having nothing to say to each other. And then I went inside to get a coffee, and there were two very colorful girls, like, you know, very interesting clothes, you know, like young girls. And again, they're sitting across from the desk, from the table, sorry, and they're staring at their phones, but at least they're smiling, they're laughing, like they're probably sharing some content over there. I don't know. But yeah, I see lots of people with dogs. Well, because the weather today is unbelievable. I think it's so plus 10 is 50, right? And then another 5 is what is it, 9? So it's like almost 60 F, or 273 plus 15, 288. So 288 Kelvin. And in case somebody wants to repeat my adventure, just come here to this 9th Avenue. So basically 9th Avenue goes all the way across, you know, where downtown is, and it goes east to west. And then you just, but this area is east of, there's like a big bridge over there. I was trying to take a picture because it's like a very colorful bridge, but with downtown in the back, and I was trying to create some blur, you know, like I used a very slow shutter speed, and there were some cyclists, and I captured that, basically blur of a movement of these cyclists crossing the bridge, and then the downtown in the back, and a very nice looking bridge, you know. So you see, people are enjoying the summer. Oh, and the cool thing is that today is Sunday, and Sunday parking is free if you can find it, as long as it says, you know, regular parking. Because I tried, basically 9th Avenue is over there, where the bus is over there. And so of course over there everything is taken, even though in theory you can park there on Sunday. You don't have to pay unless there's some, you know, some restrictions like no parking, whatever. But if it says let's say 2 hours, 9 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, that means that it does not apply even on Saturday. But Sunday in general, all parking is free in downtown Calgary, and I really love that. You know, we didn't have this when I lived in Ontario, right? So sometimes there I would just drive like, what was it, like 80 clicks, 50 miles to downtown. I would park my car and just walk around, because it's really, helps with the stress. Because right now I'm not thinking about, money, loans, bills. I'm just enjoying the weather, beautiful girls, lots of colorful people walking around. So Calgary is a great town where you can kind of like, de-stress. As long as you make enough money to afford this, right? To afford a cell phone, a car. Speaking of a cell phone, I need to call my provider. I'm sick and tired of paying, $150 every month. And I have that plan where basically I can go into US, I can cross the border. I don't need that right now, but maybe I will in the future. But anyway, I'm thinking more and more about trucks, about trucking. So tomorrow is Monday, so it's back to work. This is gonna be my my first week, I think, when I'll be driving myself. So to be honest, I'm a bit nervous, which is ridiculous, because driving a 5-ton truck that only requires a class 5 license, a regular car license, with an automatic transmission and single axle in the back. I should be able to drive that with my eyes closed. I'm thinking of playing a trick tomorrow. When they put me in the truck, I'll put it in reverse, and if that instructor or trainer is there, and I'll start backing, and he would say, "Sergei, what are you doing?" And I'd say, "Hey, I only know how to reverse. I'm sorry, that's what I've been doing for 17 years. I was reversing." Yeah, by the way, somebody was asking if I could... Man, this sun is killing me here. Somebody was asking if I can... Hold on, are we still recording? Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, somebody was asking if I can record. Well, I did not ask him. So, because I'm a company driver, right? It's not my truck. Like when I had my truck, it was my business, so I could do whatever I want. But here, I'm not so sure. Man, I don't want to leave. It's so, so nice in here. And it's funny, like imagine these people, like how lucky are these people that live here 100 meters away from all the shops, all the restaurants, and it's so quiet. Like you can hardly hear cars. Very light noise. There's trees. When everything will start blooming, it'll be gorgeous. So I'm definitely, this is my new favorite area. Before I tried, actually one guy was asking me like what areas I'd recommend as a photographer, and of course everybody knows Stephen Avenue, and then second best spot I would say is 17th Avenue, near what is called Thompson Park. Quite often they have some events happening there, like concerts, free music, stuff like that. But now this one, 9th Avenue, just east of downtown, is my new fav place, because that's what I did. I parked my car. No, actually I was on my way to Eclair Market in Chinatown, because that's another nice area, because there's a lot of people walking there. But I already been there, and you can actually go inside the market itself. There's a lot of people. It's easy to take pictures. And the way I came here, I took the ring road 201, because the entrance is right next to my area over there. Like they don't have an exit from 201 ring road, but they have an entrance. And so I went slightly north, and then east and south, kind of like east side of the city. And then I was going west on Highway 16, and then I came to this, Google took me down this 9th Avenue, and I was heading towards downtown and towards the Chinatown. And then I see that there's so many people here on 9th Avenue. I'm like, wait a second. If I can find parking, this would be, I never did any photography here, so I thought, wait a second. So forget the Chinatown. And I know this trick that you have to get parking, you have to get off the main street, because usually it's much easier. Like here, because people are lazy, the 9th Avenue is literally 150 meters away, like honestly. So I don't know, 300, 450 feet. And I parked here and I did the one circle. I went on one side that way, probably 1.5 kilometers, and then I turned around, went on the other side and returned. I took some pictures of that bridge. So it was great. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to restarting my driving career. And I spend the morning looking through my computer, trying to find as many old documents about my AZ or Class 1 driver's license. And I found my old driver abstracts. I found actually I found the actual license. I don't know why I still have it, but I found the actual driver's license from Ontario, which was issued in 2010 and which expired in 2016. And like a real license, you know, and it shows AZ Class 1Q. And then I found driver abstract for 2017, 2019, 2020, 22, and 24. And one cool thing is, and I'm gonna bring all these when I go Wednesday to the registry, and one cool thing is that all these abstracts until 22 show AZ or AZ, so Class 1. And then the last one that I just got, 24, all of a sudden shows G, which is Class 5, right? And then I have the proof. I have the driver license history, where on the last page it says April 11th, 23, downgraded Class A to G. So I think this should be enough. This should be enough for that nice lady Christina on Wednesday. But again, I couldn't find anything where it shows when I got that license. So I know it was 2005. I spent the entire summer working on it. I was taking courses. Of course, I had very little cash. So after Challenger Motor Freight told me that they don't care which school I go to. So I was really happy to hear that, right? So I just went to the cheapest school. I think I paid like $1,000. It was Mississauga, Ontario, which is the suburb of Toronto. And I took some courses there. Still, after I finished, those idiot instructors, you know, because they don't know how to teach, right? So they just former drivers, right? And I still didn't know how to back, you know. So I tried one test, failed. So I went to another school, tried another test, failed. This time the lady said I was straddling the lane. I still remember. My wheels were over the line, you know, dividing the lanes. And she didn't like something else. I think I also had some issues with backing. And then finally, I found a school where the guy pretty much says, I guarantee you will pass. And I said, how does that work? And he says, well, we don't take our students to Toronto or Brampton for a road test. We go a bit further away from the city. And he says the inspector, or whatever you call him, like the guy who rides with you in the truck, you know, during the road test, he says he's a former trucker and he's very sympathetic to new students. And we've been going there forever, and most of our students, like 99.9%, they pass. And I'm like, really? And this was like 60, 70 kilometers northeast of Toronto. And I really put my trust into these guys. And so this time I didn't take any classes or anything. I was just, we agreed with them. And by the way, these guys were Russian. It was like a Russian school. and we agreed that I will just pay them for driving time. You know, like I think they charged me $50, right? So I said, okay, so each time I would take, let's say 2 hours, I would pay them $100. And I said, I will keep taking this until A, I run out of money, or B, I feel confident I can pass the test, you know? So that was like the best training, because there was no pressure on me, you know? I could take, because, you know, previous schools, it was only a limited amount of hours. Like they would say, okay, you pay us $1,000 and we'll give you, let's say, I don't know, 20 hours on the truck, you know? So you have to, you kind of like feel a bit stressed because you have to get prepared for the road test by the time the course ends, right? But here, I realized that that thing did not work for me. So, you know, I was kind of like being, you know, a bit obtuse about this, like backing especially. Like I was okay going around corners, you know, where new people usually, you know, the rear tires, the rear wheels of the trailer would run around on the sidewalk, or, you know, kill some pedestrians. I never did that. I was super careful. Maybe I ran once at the very beginning, you know, but I was super careful watching my mirrors, because that's one big challenge, right? When you have a tractor, when you have a trailer, to go wide, right, and just turning left, turning right. But then, so I conquered that skill, but then backing was just, you know, something. And so I'm really grateful to these, you know, Russian guys, so, who allowed me to use their truck. And I still remember it was a super old Kenworth with an 18 speed, I believe, or maybe 10. So no computer, no e-log back then, right? So this was 2005. And I think he said that truck was like 1998 or something like that. So I remember it was old. Of course not, wait, 1998, that's only 7 years old. No, I think it was older, maybe like 1992 or something. I remember it was close to like 15, 20 years old, you know? But still worked, everything worked, and because, you know, he just got a used truck. And the instructor, actually, remember, he said, sometimes he would, I think he had his own authority or something, so sometimes he would do some loads as well, you know. I'm guessing he did not make too much money from teaching, but he was licensed as a teaching school, so I still remember. So now I feel kind of like I'm in the same mood as back then, you know. Like back then I was super excited that, you know, I was starting my new career, and of course there were some setbacks with all these failed exams, you know. But whoever tried driving a tractor trailer knows that it's not easy, especially when you jump just from a car into a tractor trailer. But actually, no, in my case, some of you guys might remember, I did it step by step, right? First I got straight truck license, like D or class 3 here in Alberta. And no, first I got air brakes endorsement, so GZ. Then I got D, so because I already had Z, it became DZ, so now I could drive a 10-ton truck with air brakes. And then final was AZ, which is tractor trailer with air brakes, which here is IQ. And so, and I still remember when my test was, when finally I got my driver's license, and went to Challenger Motor Freight, right? And they did that. First, of course, there was a quick test. Before they hire you, they put you with a guy and you just drive around so that they can see that you're not a total idiot. And then once they see that, yeah, okay, you passed this, you know, you show them pre-trip inspection, and you drive around a couple of blocks to show them they can, you know, you can shift. Manual training back then, like there was no automatics, I don't think. And then after this, they put you into a 2-week training program, right? So 1 week with a city instructor, and then second week we actually went into US. But the instructor was like a total idiot, kind of like an army sergeant, you know, barking at me all the time. But after that, they said, okay, so now there's like another test. Kind of like, you know, there was first one, right? There's 2 weeks of training, and then there's this final test, and after which will tell them if you're ready to get your own truck. And I hope this guy does not does not hit me. Okay, we're gonna record his license plate just in case. All right. So I just wanted to show him that I have a camera, because maybe his camera is covered in dirt. And I remember, so I was staying at a hotel, and near the 401, near the highway, and there was a bridge there. So I went to the bridge to look at the trucks, and I'm sitting there and watching trucks and thinking about how next day I would have the road test, and that hopefully I'll be driving one of these trucks flying at the, under me here on the bridge. And then of course the cop shows up, says that somebody called them thinking that I was about to jump, checks said, "Can I see some ID?" I give him my driver's license, and I explained to him I'm a trucker, that I'm taking a test tomorrow, and that will decide if I'll get my own truck or not. And he's looking at me like I'm from I just escaped from a psycho ward or something, Basically cops, right? No imagination, no sense of humor whatsoever. I think he asked me, "And you like this?" Kind of like, "You like to be in the truck? You like?" I said, "Yes, sir. You can see stuff, you can see places, right?" And I was right? My first trip was into Pennsylvania, and then I traveled all over the place. The most memorable were trips to probably Texas, South, Florida, and then in the West, I think I've been to California a couple of times, and then mountains in the summer, Montana, Wyoming. You cannot beat that. So anyway, that's my thinking. So basically I'm at the same point almost as I was in the summer of 2005, except then I was ready to jump into tractor trailer. Now I'm a bit nervous because I'm about to jump into class 5 or 5-ton truck. So, and it's funny. I wanted just to mention one last thing before somebody falls asleep, is that it's funny that the kind of like the history, repeats itself. Because when I was getting started, I tried all kind of jobs, When I came to Canada in '97, I tried selling insurance. I was in retail sales, selling cell phones at a Future Shop, which is now Best Buy. And I was doing all kinds of things, but nothing worked out. I couldn't make any good money. I was basically living paycheck to paycheck. At one point I couldn't even afford a bus fare. I remember the insurance company I worked for, we had some kind of a big meeting, corporate meeting at a hotel, and that hotel was like 10, maybe 5 kilometers away from the room I was renting in Scarborough, and I couldn't even afford a bus, So lucky for me, like one of my co-workers gave me a ride in his little Toyota. So it was very embarrassing. So those were the days, it was one of those jobs where you look good, you're wearing a suit, you have a little briefcase with a computer. They leased us brand new IBM computers. So you look good, you work inside an office, but there's no money. And so finally I had to say no. And that's when I started driving for this, like a courier company. Yeah, they put me on a 5-ton truck because I had G license, which is class 5 here. So the same thing. So same kind of truck, except it was delivery truck. We were just it was not tilt and load, not like a tow truck, but it was like a delivery truck with fixed bed. And I think it had a box. Yeah, it had a box in the back. So we would go pick up some skids, deliver something, or pick up a machine, some kind of equipment, deliver. But it was like minimum pay, And then I got my Z, because I decided to do it step by step. So from G I got Z, air brakes, and then I asked the boss to lend me his truck to take the D class 3 test. And again, it was much easier because I already had air brakes, because otherwise I would have to take 2 exams at once, So the guy lends me his truck, and of course I threw him under the bus after, because I found a job where I was making From 15 I jumped to, like, I forget, but I think I found a job that was paying like 25, 27 bucks. No, maybe 25 bucks an hour, but that's when I was delivering stuff to gas stations, and it was a big truck. I think it had 2 axles in the back, so like class 3 here, 10-ton truck, DZ, right? And then from that one I finally switched to A, class 1. And so now it looks like I'm kind of like retreating my steps, right? So first this 5-ton truck, no, first DoorDash and Uber in my Jeep Compass. Now it's 5-ton truck, and basically there's no stopping Captain Sergei or Private Sergei for now. We're gonna get bigger and heavier, right? And so Wednesday, yeah, so this coming week will be kind of like very important. So Wednesday I'm going back to the DMV or registry when that lady Christina is back to work, and see if she can help me to get the my license back. And meanwhile I'll keep doing my eye exercises, because of course over there they'll do a final check of your vision with that machine where you look inside. And as I was standing there in line on Saturday, I was overhearing what the clerk was telling the girl or a guy who was staring into that machine. So it turns out it's not circles, it was numbers, because she would say, okay, tell me what numbers you see on line 5, or tell me what you see, what number you see inside a circle, or so basically it's all numbers, not letters. And then she would say, okay, let's check your peripheral vision. You'll see some flashing light on your left and on your right, so tell me which side. Okay, now left, now both, okay, now right. So that's how they check your peripheral vision. So it's very important I passed that one, because if I don't pass, they'll send me to a doctor to get glasses, which would be really really not something I'm looking forward to. So really humiliating, that's the word I was looking for. So anyway, from downtown Calgary, and during this amazing weather, this is Captain Sergei, Sergeant Sergei, signing off. And one last thing I wanted to mention, definitely alcohol affects your weight, because first off, the alcohol itself is very calorie rich, and secondly, once you're tipsy, you don't care about any diets, right? You eat whatever you want. We'll start the diet tomorrow. And so today I think is day 5. So last drink I had was March 11th. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so I only had a couple of non-alcoholic beers. And here's again, there's a surprising variety, because I think more and more Americans and Canadians are turning towards low alcohol content drinks. So probably this was my other favorite, called the Sober Carpenter. Does have some alcohol, 0.005%, but it's IPA. It's kind of like the Partake, which is made in Canada, Partake IPA. Partake is better because it only has 10 calories. Like this thing has 65 calories, so 6 times more calories, but the rest is like and 10 grams of carbs. Of course, that's not very good. 10 grams of carbs, so this is not the best beer when you're on a diet. And the second one is called Got Hops, also 0.5%. Wait, yeah, it's not 0.00, it's a 0.5%, but basically 0.5% of alcohol, and it's still considered non-alcoholic beer. Why? Because that content, that level of content, is similar to what you can find even in some juice. Some juice, when it starts turning a little bit, you can get that alcohol naturally. Alcohol is present in juices and some fruits. That's why it's considered non-alcoholic. But so two of those. So wait, one is 65 calories, and the other one is at 48. Oh, wait a second. So this one got hops, is 48 calories. This one is 65, but still, that means it's like what, 110 calories for two, which is still better than a regular beer. And also, I started drinking a lot of this. This is like awesome. It's basically like, you know, carbonated water, sparkling water. And this one has 0 calories, 0 carbs, 0 protein. Basically, everything is 0. But it's so tasty. So I bought a box of like 12 cans like this, 330 ml. And it was like $10. And I just enjoy it. You know, you drive and you have a sip. Anyway, so now that's the end. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.